Posted on Instagram he has had surgery and that he, quote, wanted to be out there that night because that's what I do. Chris Broussard's still hanging with us. Chris, who deserves the most blame for this injury?
If Steve Kerr was telling the truth yesterday, and I have as much respect for Steve Kerr as anybody in the league, okay? I think he's a really good guy. If he was telling the truth and he said the Warriors doctors collaborated with KD's second opinion, independent doctor. That's the first, maybe I missed it, but that's the first I heard of a second opinion. Is that you first guys? Time. Right, yep. Okay. So if that's correct, that KD had an independent doctor not attached to the Warriors collaborating with them, and all the doctors said, you can play, all you can do is re-injure the calf, you don't have to worry about the Achilles or anything, then I would say the doctors are clearly to blame because they misdiagnosed this from KD's doctor to the Warriors doctor. Because, look, the fact of the matter is KD, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, whoever else you want to throw out there from the Warriors organization, none of them are doctors.
Okay.
So all you
can do...
What
did they misdiagnose? What?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to that in a minute. They, according to Kerr, they said it's a calf injury, and you can only thing you can do worse is re-injure the calf.
Okay.
Your Achilles is safe. He acts like they were shocked by the Achilles
He used
injury.
the word shocked.
Right, okay. So there's that. If that's the case, I just believe it's the doctors. If I'm KD or Steve Kerr, I don't know medicine. If the doctors tell me I'm fine, I can go play through the pain, only the calf can get worse, I'm going to go play, and I'm going to feel good as a coach playing him because the doctor said it. Now, I don't like to call somebody a liar and say they're lying unless I know for a fact. So I'm not saying that about Steve Kerr. But there are people around the league that believe. Remember, the day after it happened, I was on the show, and I said I had somebody close to someone on the training staff who said it was the Achilles.
You said that.
Okay? Now, there are people now saying, and a person has told me that they know, they know this, that the Warriors all along and KD knew it was an Achilles, slight micro tear.
Yes.
Not a rupture, but that it was the Achilles, and that the Warriors were protecting KD because he's headed into free agency. And they don't want him, it's like, hey, we're not going to send you into free agency with an Achilles tear, all that. And that's why KD was go along with it. Okay, let's call it a calf. And then when they get down 3-1, and everybody's saying you can play, but that they knew it was an Achilles. Now, I don't know if that's the truth, but I'm just saying some people are saying that. And when you look at circumstantial evidence, every time you saw KD, ice is on the Achilles or down near the Achilles rather than the calf.
That is true.
And as I heard you say earlier, he's jumping and dunking. That's not really with a bad calf, so, and you can have slight micro tears in the Achilles, and, it's not ruptured. You may know it's going to go. So maybe KD knew, look, there's a risk. Maybe it'll go. If that last scenario is the case, and they all knew it was the Achilles, then I gotta put a lot of that on KD's representation, his agent, Rich Kleiman, because that's your job to protect him, to protect him against himself. And if KD wants to go out there and play, look, KD could have potentially risked becoming the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. KD could have potentially risked, like if he's going to be healthy, we know, in a year. But maybe he won't come back as KD. Maybe he comes back as Carmelo Anthony. Slightly not quite as good.
Okay.
Not good enough anymore to lead a team to a championship by himself.
Okay.
So now you're taking away your options. So it was a risk, and those representing KD's best interest should have put their foot down if that second scenario is true and said, KD, we can't let you do this.
Okay.
Skip Bayless, you and I came in the very next day after Kevin Durant, they said it was a calf. I said, Skip, I don't know about you, but I've never seen anyone react to a calf strain like that. I said, he looked back as if somebody had tripped him or kicked him, because he thought that's exactly what P.J. Tucker had done, because that's who he shot the ball over against the Rockets. And he looked back and he grabbed his Achilles. He didn't grab his calf. I understand the gastroc and the soleus are the muscles in the calf. I get all that. But I've seen too many times. And I said maybe he didn't rupture, but he got a tear in there. I said, why every time I watch him, the ice bag is at the back, is on his heel, Achilles area. His calf, there's no ice, there's no heat, there's nothing on the calf. But I thought he had a calf strain. Oh, Shannon, you don't know, you're not a doctor. You're right. And I hate playing one on television, but I've been a professional athlete for long enough. I've seen enough Achilles tears. I've seen enough of calf strains in certain injuries, and I know where the doctors put the ice. Skip, everybody failed this all around, because the medical staff on both sides, and this is the first time I agree with you that when I heard Steve Kerr say this yesterday, Chris, that he got a second opinion from someone outside of the Warriors organization. Well, they failed this young man. And if Kevin Durant knew that at the very beginning this was micro tears in his Achilles, he should have never, ever, ever risked it. I get, Skip, that the athlete inside of us, and when someone says, and I've been there, lose a game, Skip, and my teammates come, Sharp, boy, if we had you, we had it. Man, they can't play with us if we'd have just had you. What do you think they're telling KD? Every time they come in the locker room, Skip Bayless, they lose a ball game and they see him. Man, if we had KD, it wouldn't even been close. This series had already been over with. They played to that side of KD. But I agree 100% with you, Chris Broussard. Rich Kleiman failed him. Your job as an agent is what is the best advice that I can give my client. Skip, this is $241 million in free agency. This is an opportunity for you to be a top 5 player. Guys, look, guys come back and they play very well. It's going to be very interesting to see in 2021 if Kevin Durant is the same player that he left in 2019. That's what we're going to have to see. But, Skip, they felt that at the end of the day, the rubber meets the road is Kevin Durant's final call. But Rich Kleiman's got to say, Kev, don't do it. It's not worth it. The downside of this, which is rupturing your Achilles, is far greater than you winning a third championship in a row and being in a path. The downside outweighed the risk was too great, was greater than the reward.
So back to your initial point. You guys both know when you tear your calf or even strain your calf, it's a hot knife in your calf, and it's an ow. It's a like, ow. God. That wasn't his reaction on May the 8th. The Achilles reaction is always a, huh?
Right.
Huh? What was that? That was an Achilles reaction I saw on May the 8th. It was startled. Yep. It was befuddled. Like, what? Right. What just happened to me? And you know and I know, the first thing they did the next day was take an MRI. It's a 3D view of the lower leg. And so you can see all the issues going on in the lower leg from the calf, and you got the gastroc and the soleus, and they meld right into the Achilles. You can see if there's any issue going on with the Achilles. You cannot tell me that whoever examined the first MRI, the magnetic resonance imaging picture, didn't say, I see a little problem there with the Achilles. To your point, you can have micro tears, you can have what they call fraying, you can have a little partial tear, but you can just flat out see it on the MRI. It does not lie.
Yes.
And so somebody knew that was happening. We all believed that was happening from May 8th. It could have been pre-existing issue that was even exacerbated by what just happened on May the 8th, but it did not rupture, or we wouldn't even have this conversation. So, but your source said, we fear, right? We fear that's what it was. So even if he went to an outside opinion, they had to know that, I don't know what number to put on it, 10% chance of rupture, 20% chance, a risk of rupture. Somebody had to know the risk. Right. And I'm assuming Kevin knew. I'm assuming he knew that there's some potential this is going to rupture, because Steve Kerr was not lying when he said the calf was 100% healed. It was. You could just see it in the pregame warm-ups. He couldn't jump like that.
But Skip, the calf was Skip.
Is this possible?
Skip. Chris, let me make this point. The calf was never the injury. Of course, the calf was 100% healed. The Achilles was always the injury. That was the lie that you told to make people believe that it was a calf injury. It was always the Achilles.
Is it possible that if he's got micro tears in his Achilles, your only options are surgery, or you can go play on it knowing it's going to go eventually?
On the micro tears? I mean, the number one option they would tell you is you just got to rest.
Okay, but is that going to heal it? It would heal on its own.
Yes, on its own it would heal.
Could rest.
It would take time. It would take an off season of healing. Yes.
Okay. All right.
They would put Skip, if he got micro tears, what they would normally do is put you in a boot, tell you to stay off it for anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks. And we'll give you another MRI, and we'll see where you are then. If it's healed properly, we'll say, okay, you can go back to wearing your normal shoes. If not, we're going to leave your butt in this boot again for another month.
Okay, but is it fair for me to conclude if Kevin was given all the correct information about the risk, hey, Kevin, it's maybe a 20% risk, I can't blame anybody, and I'm not going to blame Kevin because he wanted to suck it up and try to win one for the team. Right?
I don't think KD's to blame.
Okay. All right. And remember, in his post yesterday, he expressed zero negativity toward any of the process and trying to figure out what it was, right? He was all for his teammates. He's all in. Like, it seemed like he was completely committed to the risk of what he took.
I agree.
Right?
That definitely, the way he's acted has made you feel like he knew. All right, it's a risk.
Okay.
I'm taking this risk, and it wasn't their fault. I'm with it. Yeah. So,
okay.
But that's where I do think your agent can step in.
Good. Yeah.
And say, no, KD, no. It's not worth it. Basketball-wise, he had nothing to lose. If they were going to lose without him.
For me, guys, I do not have a problem with risk. It's unnecessary risk that I have the problem with.
Okay. So, in the end, I actually gained respect for Kevin to play like that. Like that was big of him to try, and he paid the ultimate price because, to your point, he might never be quite the same again. Okay? You risked, you lost.
Tried to get it out.
But see, Skip, this is what hurts, and this is what led Kevin Durant to do. You heard what you said? A lot of other people feel the same way you did, Skip. You gain respect.
Yeah.
No question.
That should have never played into it. KD, look what you had accomplished up to this point. KD, there are some people, even though you got injured, you still were not going to get their respect for the simple fact you joined that team. So you were never going to be able to please everyone.
No.
You never are. Gentlemen, great stuff this morning. Chris, thanks for being here with us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Coming up next on Undisputed, will Kawhi Leonard win another Finals MVP? We know what Shannon thinks, but we'll discuss it up next.
I'm not sure.
Get a clock. Get a clock. Get a clock.
Todd! No! You wouldn't just live with it if they did it. So why live with your cat scratching furniture? This could be